Baboons live here in De Hoop Nature Reserve in South Africa. The 40 troop members are easy for Dave's team to study during the day, but some evenings they seem to simply vanish into thin air. After many days of following the baboons, researchers found out exactly where they were going, and it's not what you'd expect. Down there, that's where they go. And we're about to find out why. Below the entrance we found a maze of caves, but no clues as to what draws the baboons down there. So how can we help Dave find out? Time for stage 1 of our mission, to stake out the entrance with 4 secret cameras. And wait for sunset. And here they come. The baboon's disappearing act caught on camera for the first time.
There we go.
Dave's first insight into their hidden world. Stage 1 of our mission complete. But before we see what the baboons get up to, let's look at the tools of the animal camera surveillance team. If you want to see a world beyond our senses, these are the cameras to use. Most cameras, like the ones that filmed these images, see colour and objects very much like our eyes do. But as scientists build better and more sensitive cameras, we're finding out there's more to light than meets the eye. Either side of the rainbow of colours that we can see are others out of our range. Beyond what we see as blue is the ultraviolet zone. You're now seeing me through an ultraviolet camera. It's a kind of light that's invisible to us, but can be clearly seen by insects and some species of birds. They in this camera can see anything that reflects or absorbs ultraviolet light, like this apparently transparent sunblock cream. Flowers use these ultraviolet signals to guide insects to their nectar stores. This buttercup looks very different to a foraging honeybee. And some birds, like the budgerigar, use the same signals to attract a mate, with reflective cheek patches. Way beyond ultraviolet is the X-ray zone. X-rays have been used in medicine for years. But now a new generation of X-ray cameras are revealing the inner workings of animals in action. How else could we get the inside story on how a chameleon fires its ballistic tongue? But there's more. At the opposite end of our rainbow, beyond what we see as red, is the infrared zone. Far infrared or thermal cameras can see heat and turn it into colour. This thermal camera is so sensitive it can pick up the heat radiating from my body and detect differences in temperature of less than 1/20th of a degree. It can see my breath, my sweat glands, and even the blood vessels inside my body. Without a need for light, these cameras can follow warm-blooded animals in absolute darkness. Elephants, barely visible with normal cameras, stand out like beacons in thermal vision, as do these lions. But for a clearer nighttime image, we need to switch to the near-infrared. To get a better picture of what's going on in the dark, you need an infrared camera and an infrared light, like this special torch I'm holding. Infrared is invisible to mammal eyes, so I can't see anything, but the camera can, making it perfect for nocturnal stakeouts. And infrared cameras are just what we need for stage 2 of our baboon surveillance operation. It's 8 AM and the baboons are heading out for breakfast. So how can we find out what they've been up to overnight? Well, once all the baboons are up, it's time for Animal Camera to get down. At At different points along the 200-metre cave system, we install 8 infrared cameras and lights, all linked to our mission control tent up above. The idea is that since baboons like us can't see in infrared, they won't notice the lights. But to make sure, I need to make a test run. And Mission Control are going to keep me in the dark, while you see me in infrared. Apparently there's a camera directly in front of me, but I can't see a thing. I literally cannot see anything at all. To know what's there, I have to feel my way along the cave sides. There's only one of me down here. What's it like with 40 baboons bashing and crashing into each other? I can't see a thing, but fortunately Mission Control can see everything. Every painful bash, bump and stumble, as I gradually build up a mental map of the cave floor and feel my way to the end chamber.
Good news, Steve, is the baboons are in the area, and you've probably got about 5 minutes to get out of the cave. So if you head along your mental map, you should be fine.
But fortunately, to get out faster, Mission Control allow me to put my head torch on.
Hey, look at that! Oh, it's not what I pictured at all. Oh, wow. I could stand up for a start. Why didn't you tell me I could stand up?
Time to get out and leave it to the baboons. So our spy network's up and running. With a bit of luck, we'll soon find out exactly what the baboons get up to down here. But first, let's see how other innovations are shedding new light on the natural world. New camera technologies are not only helping uncover animals hidden from view, they're also giving us a unique perspective on their way of life. This is the closest you'll ever get to a bird's eye view, as we take you on board the fastest roller coaster ride in the world. With the ultimate skydiver, the Peregrine Falcon. And the ground-hugging goshawk, squeezing through the tightest gaps between the trees. But first, how's it done? The secret to these amazing images are miniature cameras, just like this one, the smallest and lightest television cameras in the world. The tiny video camera has... But having miniature cameras is only half the story. You also need the right animal to put them on. And this is Tilly, a 4-year-old golden eagle, and for the last 6 months she'd been trained to carry these ultra-lightweight cameras. So now we've got the bird and we've got the camera, all we need is somewhere spectacular for her to fly. The mountain updrafts to glide effortlessly for hours on end. And her wings form a stable hunting platform as she scans the ground for food. our cameras don't get in her way. And later in the series, we'll reveal how Tilly's camera work is helping NASA with state-of-the-art aircraft design. But right now, not everyone is impressed. Large birds of prey often get mobbed by smaller, more manoeuvrable flyers like this buzzard. The last thing they want is an eagle in their airspace. And for the first time ever, we can take you right to the heart of an aerial dogfight. There's one quick way Tilly can get rid of this pest. She barrel rolls 180 degrees, flashing her giant talons, and it does the trick. Our privileged view is over. The eagle has landed. At the cave, the baboons are back. It's getting really dark now, but Dave and I can see them coming into the cave on our surveillance cameras easily. As you can see, they're not the only ones that use the cave. These bats are pouring out. And one by one, 40 baboons get ready to drop down into the hole. And incredibly, just 100 meters away, we can watch them climbing down the vertical walls and towards our infrared cameras. This is the moment Dave's been waiting for, a chance to find out what his baboons get up to underground. But will they rumble us? And here they come, totally unaware that they're being watched. Don't forget, they can't see a thing. Oops. Well, the baboons are deep inside the cave now, but we've got them covered with all of our cameras. We've even got shots of me when I was down there. They seem to fare much better than I did. Well, having said that, look at the last one in the picture. He's patting the ground to double-check what's coming up. Exactly like I did. It seems that if you're not sure where you're going, it pays to tread lightly. Some are a bit more sure of themselves. They've probably been down here more often and have a better mental map of the cave floor. Youngsters take any chance to show off, even if nobody can see them. Apart from us, that is, although the smell of our new cameras hasn't gone unnoticed. In 10 minutes, the baboons reach the main chambers and try to find a spot where no one's going to accidentally kick them in the dark. Ooh, watch out. But watch the reckless young acrobat on the right. Ooh, crazy fool. Yep, best turn around and come down backwards if you don't want to fall head first. Just like at the surface, families stick together by uttering little contact calls. But playful young ones always want to go off and explore, even if they don't know quite what's in front of them. Since Mum can't keep an eye on them, she keeps a careful hand on them at all times. It's a world of touch and some surprisingly familiar sounds. Yes, that was what you thought it was. I'm glad I'm not down there at the moment. But all this activity doesn't last long. 15 minutes after entering the cave, the troop begins to settle down. It's clearly been a tiring day. Time for some shut-eye. So it's looking like they come down here to sleep. But there's always one that doesn't want to go to bed. Come on now, settle down. Why the caves? Well, it's warmer for a start, up to 10 degrees higher than at the surface. And the drop to get in makes it safe from hunting leopards. The ideal dormitory. But with no sunrise down here, how will they know when to wake up? Our cameras are still rolling, so we'll be back later to find out. Modern cameras aren't just helping us see in the dark, they also unearth secrets simply too fast for the human eye. For many years, slow-motion cameras have been helping to expand the most amazing moments in the natural world. This image shows the action 10 times slower than normal. But guess what? Slow-motion cameras have just got even better. This camera can record events not 10, but up to 1,000 times slower than normal. That means 1 second lasting over 15 minutes. It's hard to imagine. Able to investigate the fastest animals in the world. So, what are they? Maybe not what you'd expect. First up, the Hydromantes salamander from the Sierra Nevada mountains in California. Is no match for the fastest claw. In second place, the mantis shrimp. Voracious hunter, as much a punch as a hammer blow. This huge impact is all down to the sheer speed of the strike. Game over in 1,000th of a second. Certainly not these guys. Still sleeping. At number 1, small but deadly, the trapjaw ant. They don't come any faster than this. Its strike is 5 times faster than the mantis shrimp, 70 times faster than the salamander, and 800 times faster than anything I can do. As the name trapjaw suggests, this is the part you want to watch out for. The system is simple. The jaws have huge muscles to winch them into position, a microscopic latch to lock them open, and trigger hairs to unleash hell. In X-ray, we can see the scythe-like jaws rotate and then lock open as the latch engages. Now the huge muscles are under extreme tension. The trap is primed. At this point, there's no going back. All body parts must be pulled clear or risk the chop. And here it comes. Don't blink. The jaws slam shut in 3/10,000ths of a second. Even slowed down 400 times, this still pushes the limits of the most sophisticated camera. The fastest animal, and less than 5 millimeters long. Back at the Big Brother Baboon Stakeout, it's now 7:30 AM and all the housemates are still asleep. So how will they know when it's time to get up? Well, this might just be their alarm call. The Bat night shift coming home. Thousands of flapping wings above their heads. This early bird can't see them, but he knows they're there. And he wants to make sure everyone else knows too. Within a few minutes, one or two of the baboons start to get restless. But you've got to be careful where you tread. The baboon dawn chorus starts up to rally the troops. No chance of sleeping late for this group. Surely no one can sleep through this. But yes, there's always one. Come on, sleepyhead. Remember, he can't see a thing, so if he doesn't want to get left behind, he better hurry up and follow the grunts. That's it. Good lad. So Dave now has a complete picture of what his baboons get up to day and night. And with animal cameras undercover technology, they didn't even know we were there. Although they do seem to find our power cables a welcome home improvement. In a landscape with no trees or cliffs, a cave like this is the ideal baboon hotel. And it's tempting to think that maybe 20,000 years ago, our prehistoric ancestors once slept here too. They've had a good night's rest, and now they're heading out to feed and do all the things they couldn't do down there. And with that, our Big Brother Stakeout is complete, and another mission is accomplished. A cave system is relatively easy to stake out, but how about an entire tropical rainforest? Impossible? Well, in Panama, Central America, they've done just that. When they built the Panama Canal, they had to flood huge areas of the jungle, leaving just the hilltops above the water. Now this hilltop behind me is Barro Colorado Island. Isolated in the middle of the canal, it makes the perfect jungle observatory, and for over half a century, it's been a hotbed of scientific scrutiny. Here, researchers are infiltrating every corner of the island on a high-tech stakeout. The wildlife on this island is being observed from nearly every possible angle. If you want to know about rainforest, this is the place to be. It's a living laboratory under total surveillance. More than 200 scientists from all over the world descend on Barra, Colorado every year. They're all here to investigate the forest and the animals in enormous detail. And animal cameras here to spy on the jungle spies. Although the island is teeming with all kinds of wildlife, it's much harder to track down than you might think from watching wildlife films. There are 60 troops of howler monkeys, 12,000 sloths, and more species of birds than the US and Canada combined. But most of them keep a low profile. Researchers have to outwit animals with a mind-blowing array of modern surveillance equipment deployed on the ground and in the air. Believe it or not, you can tell a lot about the rainforest from its treetops, if you have the right kit. It's that thermal camera to the rescue again. It turns heat into a colour image. Look at that, numbnuts. You wouldn't get me up there. With a thermal camera, anything living stands out like a beacon. Which is why a thermal camera can be so useful in dense rainforest. Tree dwellers are invisible with the naked eye, but they glow in thermovision. With 1,200 howler monkeys on the island, you can hear them all right, but it's amazing how quickly they can disappear, unless you have the thermal camera to hand. It's the same down on the forest floor. An agouti blends into the background, but it can't hide its body heat. But the thermal camera is limited, because it does need a human presence, enough to send many creatures into hiding. To really illuminate animal behaviour, scientists here need to call on a vast array of technologies. The first one is shedding light on high-speed bats hunting in the dark. There are 72 species of them on the island, and it's only 15 square kilometres. That's more bats than you'd expect to find in the entire United States of America. What's that got to do with me sitting in the water? Well, this is the hunting ground of one of the larger and more impressive bats on the island, the bulldog bat. It's unusual amongst bats because it fishes for its prey. Even though we can see it with our infrared cameras, how does it detect and catch fish in the water in the pitch dark? Bat biologist Elizabeth Calco was determined to find out. She knew that those sounds are the echolocation calls that they're using to find their prey on the top of the water. And that flashing? Well, it's to help Elizabeth find out more, as she had one big problem. It's so dark out here and they're so fast, it's impossible to see what's going on. What Elizabeth needed to do was somehow slow down the action. Impossible? Well, not if you can freeze time. And that's what this flashing's about, because this is coming from a multi-flash. The multi-flash. 12 flashlights fire in less than half a second to freeze the action on a single photograph. As the bat swoops in, Elizabeth sets off the multi-flash and records the bat's calls with an ultrasound microphone. Each flash spotlights a separate instant in the bat's approach, giving 12 images on a single photograph, less than half a second, frozen in time. When Elizabeth plays back the flash sequence alongside the bat's calls, the multi-flash setup reveals exactly what's going on. The bat searches for prey by sending out a slow series of loud calls over the water. When the water's smooth, the calls just bounce away. But if a fish disturbs the surface, it makes ripples that reflect the sounds back to the bat, triggering an attack. As it homes in, the bat speeds up its calls to build up a crisp sonar picture of the ripple. In the final approach, it computes precisely where the target will be by the time its claws connect. Bang on target. So, with multi-flash and ultrasound technology, scientists see in the dark, freeze action and eavesdrop on silence. Insight into the bulldog bat we wouldn't have had any other way. Bulldog bats are relatively easy to find, but finding animals deep in the forest is another matter altogether. Mammal experts Jackie and Greg Willis have the mammoth task of recording the species that live here. So how can they identify animals they never see? Technology to the rescue once again. 35 camera traps set up at key points all over the island. Unlike the thermal camera, these ones can sit here unattended, constantly snapping the passing animals unawares. Modern-day camera traps have a way of detecting the animals passing through the forest. They pick up body heat, so this one should take a photo of me round about now. Sharp-looking fella. These hidden cameras are busy day and night, snapping anything that crosses their path. Over the past 5 years, what they've revealed has been astonishing. They've taken 4,500 photos, including the rare jaguarundi and teira, animals that hadn't been seen on the island for 70 years. The ocelot portfolio was especially intriguing. They don't seem to be camera shy. Jackie and Greg didn't think there could be more than 6 ocelots on the whole island, so they thought they were seeing the same ones again and again. However, each ocelot has a unique set of spots, pretty much like a fingerprint. So using these images, researchers have identified 26 individuals on the island, far more than they expected. And they proved this by leaving 2 cameras at each trap. They could photograph both sides of the animal at once, producing an identikit for every ocelot on the island. But what's that collar about? Well, snapshots only record a moment in time. To keep track of animals on the move, you need yet another technology. Radio telemetry. Ocelot researcher Ricardo Moreno is using it to keep tabs on 6 ocelots. Because they're so elusive and well camouflaged, they're impossible to find ordinarily. This one's been anaesthetised so Ricardo can change its radio collar. When she wakes up, she'll disappear. But with the radio collar, we should be able to find her. Ricardo's let me loose with his receiver, so let's see if I can track one down. We've got a beep. It could take some time, so I'll see you later. That's not an ocelot, that's an agouti. That's what ocelots eat. I don't think you've seen one, have you? I've been going for about, I don't know, probably 30 minutes and still nothing. Time to give up. There are no ocelots on this island. Ricardo was obviously lying. By tracking ocelots on foot, Ricardo's gaining new insights into how they behave and interact. But it's really hard work. The terrain is unforgiving, and radio waves don't travel well through trees or dense undergrowth. To make life easier, you need to go really high-tech, because the best way to receive radio signals in dense jungle like this is to get above it. And I'm starting to learn something else about this island. There are no... sleeping, and occasionally when they've died, giving us surprising insights into an agouti's life. The data from the tower shows that some agoutis are up and about all night, but why would they risk coming out when so many predators are on the prowl? This is just one mystery scientists are hoping they will solve using the wonders of radio waves. The wonders of camera technology had given Jackie and Greg a more sophisticated research tool as well. Remotely triggered video cameras. These video cameras detect body heat much like the still cameras, and they turn on for about 30 seconds at a time. It makes viewing a bit jumpy, but by filming animals unawares, it's revealed some fascinating behaviour. Instead of just taking a photograph, these cameras spy on animals in action, going about their business undisturbed. When the agouti researcher Enzo Aliaga Rossell discovered one of his radio-collared agoutis had been killed, he wanted to stake out the crime scene and find the culprit. The agouti had been beheaded and stashed under some leaves, which didn't fit the profile of any of the predators on the island. So Enzo called in Jackie and Greg's video technology. Once they'd set up the camera near the carcass, all they had to do was wait. That's a packer. Can't be him, he's vegetarian. That's a brocket deer. Eats leaves. Another packer. Nothing too suspicious. Hang on. What's this here? technology is revealing unique insights into the animals of Barra, Colorado. But one thing binds all the animals that live here. The fabric of the forest provides everything animals here need for survival. To make sure they do survive, scientists also need to know about the forest itself. So they've set up intensive study zones. Is there no place to hide? This virtual cube of forest has been in the spotlight for a quarter of a century. But where did scientists begin? First, they marked out the boundaries at ground level. Second, they tackled the task of counting every single tree. It took nearly a year to identify all the trees in the cube. 240,000 of them. Every 5 years, they mark, identify them and record their girth. The smaller plants differently, and the way their leaves glow shows us how healthy they are. All this long-term surveillance is showing that every animal and plant is linked, part of a living network more amazing than our most advanced technology. With one animal disappearing from tropical forests each day, understanding how it works is a top priority, which is why this cube isn't unique. It's one of 20 encircling the planet, each one adding more revelations than we could have ever imagined. Barely scratched the surface.